What is up, everybody? It's your boy Doody back again with another video, and it's been some time. That's right, Doody had to take a break for IRL stuff, as our boy Phil likes to say, and couldn't post anything yesterday and Sunday. I really didn't get to post too much either, but just dealing with some real life stuff, nothing major. Just it just takes time away from detracting. I'm back, good to go. By the way, Doody will be streaming tomorrow. That's right. I'm going to try to get a 3-hour stream tomorrow just to catch up on all the shenanigans of DSP. So if you like podcast content, come check it out. It'll probably start around 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. It should be a lot of fun. So anyway, just to be honest, I'm a little lost on what actually happened yesterday and what happened Sunday night, just because I just wasn't paying attention. That's right. Not even reading Twitter. So like Phil, I don't know what's going on in the world because I didn't read Twitter. But anyway, let's try to catch up. This is the daily wrap. I'm assuming, what did he play yesterday? I think he played Hollow Knight and maybe RimWorld, I think. I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right, let's see what Phil had to say on the daily wrap.
Welcome to the daily wrap for what was Tuesday, the 24th of February, 2026. A great streaming day. Today was our staple games, and what I mean by that are games that we've been playing for a while that usually have a dedicated fan base who come by, engage, and support. Today was certainly no exception. Also, today we had a great DSP morning show, and I had a little bit of extra time, and so I made some adjustments. Let's talk all about it, shall we? So today we started off with the DSP.
Okay, let me take a guess. The adjustments are animations. It seems like that's his go-to, and I didn't watch this yet. I just recorded it. I didn't watch it, but I'm assuming whatever he's going to be talking about is animations because other than what does he have left to buy? The joystick, the Nintendo joystick. He really can't buy any more crap for his setup. So I'm going to guess animation changes.
Morning show, and I said right up front, today I want this to be a chill morning show. I don't want to have a bunch of heavy topics to talk about. I don't want to have it be almost like a podcast. I just want to hang out and chill and interact and talk about whatever is on anyone's mind. That's exactly what we did. And so we started off talking.
Again, it just shows that the podcast and the Level 1 podcast and the morning show are the same exact fucking thing. The same exact thing. The length is the same. The complaints are the same. He still reads Twitter for the news. He screams and yells at detractors, and his trolls and so on. So there's no difference. Again, like I mentioned earlier, this is simply just a ploy by Phil to try to make it seem like he's giving you different content. So, just like when he created the React channel and all that stuff, he wanted to make it seem like, oh, this is a brand new channel. This is something different, when all it was just a day for him to just react to content. Okay. I mean, he reacts to content now. So again, it's just the illusion that he's actually giving you something new and fresh when it isn't new and fresh. It's the same exact thing. And the other thing, it gives him a built-in excuse when he doesn't feel like doing anything or actually doing news or anything, and he'll just sit there waiting for people to give him money. So again, it's just more excuses for him to do crappy content.
Talking about food, because I was talking about how the DSP tries it the day before had went at Wendy's, and the discussion got into different levels of fast food and how expensive it is and the quality and things like that. Then we started talking about the history of fighting games in arcades. We talked about Jasper Kitty. We talked about all kinds of stuff. It was about an hour-long show, and in my opinion, it went really well. I enjoyed it, and it seemed like everyone who was there had a good time too. And then after hanging out for about an hour, we jumped into Hollow Knight today. Good news is it was a big 3 hours of Hollow Knight. Great progress in the game today. What did we do? A ton. First off, we ended up going into the Deepness area again, and I ended up doing one of the secret bosses that I had missed, which get me the final pale ore piece, which means I could get my final nail upgrade. Then we ended up doing a few optional boss fights, and after having this nail upgrade, I was whooping bosses' butts today. Like, basically, I'm using the quick attack charm as well as the damage upgrade of having the maxed out nail. Bosses that previously probably would have been challenging don't stand a freaking chance. I run in wailing on them, and yeah, they hit me for a bit, but because I have like 8 health now, I can just keep wailing, and I just keep going crazy, and some of these bosses I kill in like 20 seconds. It's wild how much I've improved with my damage output, and people are like, yeah, that is one of the criticisms of Hollow Knight, that unlike Silksong, where the game does a good job of balancing challenge over the course of the game, and by the time you get to the end, notably the end of Act 3, even if you have all the upgrades, the game is still pretty challenging. In Hollow Knight, that's not the case. If you end up getting everything in Hollow Knight, the game can be pretty easy by the end. And I'm going to be honest, that's kind of what's happening right now. Like, nothing's really challenging me that much. In fact, I think I want to go back. There was one of the boss fights previous, the optional one, the dream bosses, I had skipped. And I'm thinking I should go back and fight him now because I bet I could beat him because I'm doing such insane damage output. So anyway,
Okay, I don't know much about Hollow Knight or whatever, Silk Song or whatever the hell he's playing, but if that's the case, Phil, why don't you just bump up the difficulty? I'm assuming you could bump up the difficulty in mid game. That's not an issue. Like, there's not a hard lock where you cannot, increase the difficulty during a playthrough. I'm pretty sure you could. So why don't you do that? No, you can't do that because, of course, that would make it too challenging and stressful and all this other nonsense that you like to say. But if it's really a problem, Phil, you can do one of two things. You can either, like I said, raise the challenging level, make it difficult, or you know what, play something else. But Hollow Knight seems to be the Baldur's Gate for this year, where when support's slow, he falls on Hollow Knight because he knows that's a tried and true stream that'll give him money. Not that he likes to play the game or it's interesting or whatever, but there's 3 or 4 whales that come out and support it every stream. So it's just gonna take a string of a couple streams of Hollow Knight to bomb, where he'll end up wage quitting it, and then of course talk about, oh, it was too easy, my chat was bored, they weren't supporting it, nonsense, blah 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 blah. All right, let's see what else he has to say.
In that regard, great progress. Then we went to a new area called the Palace, and it's in a dream world, and it's an insane platforming challenge. It took me about an hour to get through, but we did it. So we beat the Palace today. Then for the end of the stream, basically, we found a bunch of new areas that previously I had missed. For example, after following the tram to an area, we found a hidden beehive. So we beat all of that. We ended up doing all of the flame challenges that we needed to do to advance the DLC. So we're ready to trade in the flame challenges and see the end of the DLC, which everyone is saying like a crazy super boss, and maybe I should hold off on it. I don't know. Yeah, basically today in the 3 hours we played, we did a ton. And from what I'm to understand, I'm nearing the end. Maybe another couple streams, we're probably going to complete Hollow Knight. And then the only thing really remaining will be, do I want to actually go for like 100 to 112% completion? Because they said each DLC added more percent to complete. And I guess from what I was told, there is a crazy boss rush challenge that most people don't even complete. It is the best ending of the game, but it's so hard to do and so challenging that a lot of people just watch the good ending. I guess we'll see. I told everyone, listen, as long as people keep showing up and engaging and supporting this content, I don't see why I wouldn't keep playing it. And then, I'm not kidding, one of the best supported Hollow Knight streams I've ever had. It was massively supported on every front, and I was so pleased with that, and obviously so grateful for that. So thank you again to those who continuously show up, engage, and support Hollow Knight. You guys are awesome, all right? During the break, I had time to update some of my animations. As you can see, what I now have are 3 sets of animations. One are more retro vibes like this one. One is all the modern games that I'm currently playing. And one is the Level 1 podcast, which kind of has a mix of stuff. So I'm happy because I updated them early. Normally, I would update them every new month. But let's be honest, Valentine's Day, no one's thinking about that or talking about it anymore. The Super Bowl, that was even before then. I wanted to get those animations out of the rotation. I did. So now we have new ones added to the old ones. So it's good. It feels more fresh, right? So I came back from break. And then tonight it was RimWorld. Yes, I know that we did 2 really fast streams of Hollow Knight and RimWorld this week, notably because we have new games near the end of the week, right? How did RimWorld?
No, Phil. Come on, let's be honest here. Let's keep it real. The reason why you did 2 of RimWorld and Hollow Knight is because those are the only 2 games that are actually bringing any support. All your other playthroughs, you either rage quit or no support, just like your Indie Night that bombed. When the last time you did Indie Night, what you got, $80 or something like that. So again, you're falling into the same pattern that when support's slow, you bring out the tried true games that bring out the whales and provide you support. Again, the reason why I mentioned this is because Phil likes to LARP that he's a successful streamer, and it doesn't matter what he does, and people will support him because they like him, which is nonsense. No, it isn't. He either gets support because the whales feel like they need to defend Phil from the detractors, right? And case in point, when he started going off the other day about LTG and all that, he ended up getting support, right? So when he talks drama content, he makes money, and he brings that out every so often. Whenever there's like, here's a pattern where I notice a Phil. Whenever there's a stream of 2 to 3 nights or 2 to 3 streams where he doesn't hit the goal, he brings out detractor content and he starts screaming about wings or LTG or whatever the hell it is. And then that just brings out the dents to come out and support Phil. It does. It really does. And the other thing too is that, you also have these troll tips that come in that give him money. You have that one guy, Chimchar, who drops like $10 just to say insulting things to Phil, and Phil still counts that towards the goal, right? So you're gonna notice a pattern like that, and it's gonna keep going. And again, he can't be honest about it. Again, I don't care that he does detractor content. I don't care that he shits on LTG. I mean, it's a bit hypocritical, especially being that it's DSP, right? But I'm fine with it. I just don't like the point, I don't like, again, and I've said this many times, I don't like when people pissing on my leg and saying it's actually raining. It insults my intelligence. But of course, that's what DSP has to do because he has to have some more moral grandstanding on people. And again, Phil, your dark side, Phil. No one's buying it, brother. No one is giving you the pass of moral superiority. Again, Phil, your dark side, Phil. And that's never going to change. And again, I know you like to say, well, I could cure cancer and I can cure AIDS and people will still detract on me. Yes, good deeds don't outweigh bad deeds, Phil. It doesn't work that way, okay? This isn't Home Alone 2, where the lady with the bird poop all over her told Kevin that on Christmas, one good deed is double, two bad deeds or whatever. It doesn't work that way, okay, Phil? If you're a crumb bum and you're a scum, you're gonna always be pretty much a crumb bum and a spum, and it's hard. You know what I mean? Once, like you like to say, Phil, once you put the clown makeup on, it's very hard to take it off, and that's what happened to you. You decided to put the clown makeup on early in your career, and it stuck. And now that no one likes that anymore, and it's been quite some time, you're trying to remove the makeup, and sorry, Phil, you just can't remove that stain. Okay?
Go. Well, let me put it this way. Last stream, it was nonstop craziness. This stream, 3/4 of the way through, things were going great. We had recruited more people. We had expanded the base. We had stretched out our farming to have even more food to make up for the insane amount of people we now have as survivors. We were building a crematorium, and we were researching better stuff. And then, at the very tail end of the stream, we were attacked by robot invaders. I'm not going to tell you how it went. I would much rather have you watch. But the stream was great. Everyone was chilling. Everyone was having a good time. Everyone was engaged. And again, another very well-supported stream. Absolutely excellent levels of support today. So good. Thank you so much. Because to be honest, again, this is what makes me able to do streams like last night. For those who weren't there, last night was the Indies night. We tried 3 indie games. And to be honest, not any of them really resonated or stuck where I'm guaranteed to play them again. And the support also wasn't that great. But that's okay. Because today I had an overwhelmingly great day. So it makes up for it. It's all good. So thank you guys, really.
So then why do you have to act like a scumbag, Phil? Why do you need to guilt trip people? Why do you need to beg? Why do you need to shit on people because you didn't get support? Why do you feel the need to always call out Kick because they don't give you enough money? Why, Phil? Why? If you truly believe that, Phil, that it doesn't matter as long as support is pretty consistent, right? You hit your $150 goal, right? Then why do you do all those things? Again, it almost sounds like you're talking out of both sides of your crooked mouth. You're trying to have your cake and eat it too. You're trying to say, well, no, I don't care about support, but then you care about support. You want to talk about how you don't beg anymore, but yet you beg. You know what I mean? You don't want to be that person who guilt trips people into donating money, but then your behavior is guilt tripping people to donate money. You see what I'm saying here, Phil? You see what I'm saying, brother? And you just don't get it, or you don't care, or you just don't realize it. I'm not sure what it is. I mean, I'm to a point now where it's like, I don't really care anymore. The reason why, like, I've actually tried to sit there and think about why are you this way? And it's gotten to the point where it's like, you know what? You're just this way because you're just a scumbag and you never want to change that. So we'll move on with that and accept it and proceed as we're currently proceeding. So let's keep going.
For coming by, supporting these games that you love. What a great day today was, all right? Tomorrow, we do it all again, and we head into the second half of the week, which is going to be pretty exciting. Tomorrow is the calm before the storm. What I mean by that is tomorrow is the last day before we start doing new release content. So we're going to have a level 1 podcast in the morning. The topic will be as follows. Xbox being shaken up. Phil Spencer, gone. Sarah Bond, gone. I want to talk about the legacy of Phil Spencer and the things that he did when he was in charge of Xbox, because I think that there's some good and some bad, and I want to weigh in on that. But also, if you're not aware, there's been a big scapegoating of Sarah Bond. Basically, she's been blasted this week by numerous reports claiming that she might have been responsible for the downfall of Xbox. I'm going to be honest, I'm very skeptical about this, but we'll talk about it tomorrow, okay? Then
Yes, Phil, that's what always happens in every corporation. Whenever there's a big change or blowout, or there's a financial issue where the company is just failing, people quit, people resign, people get fired, And then there's always scapegoating because people want to, protect themselves. So it's nothing new here, Phil. Okay? I mean, I'm pretty sure the scapegoating of Xbox is probably management. It's probably the owners of Xbox or whoever, the board. They're probably the ones trying to shift the blame and cast it on someone. And now that that person is no longer there, they can say, well, look, we got rid of the problem. We can then proceed and move forward. Okay, Phil? So again, there's no need for you to break it down and do a 50-minute segment on this. Most people understand what happens in corporations, and when, corporations aren't doing well, someone or someone's multiple people get the blame and people get fired. There's nothing more to it than that. But of course, you want to turn this segment into the Bash Phil Spencer segment because you have an axe to grind with Phil Spencer for some reason. Of all people, you have an axe to grind with Phil Spencer. I mean, yeah, he's probably not the greatest CEO. He's made mistakes, but is he really someone to bash and criticize and have this one-sided feud with? It's like the Cannon brothers. I just don't get it. But of course, he's a locale, and locales do that. Locales, don't like getting the focus on them in a negative light. So what they do is instead of correcting their behavior and trying to do better, they try to redirect their critics to other people. Like you hear the, hey, I've done some shitty shit before, or I've done some shitty stuff, but that guy over there is way worse than me. You might want to go bother him. You know what I mean? And that's what Phil does. So, Phil can't really blame that he sucks at gaming, or when he doesn't hit support, he blames the game. He has to blame Phil Spencer, or he has to blame the head of Sony or the head of Nintendo. You know what I mean? And of course, Phil, that's not very productive. That's just shifting blame. You never get anywhere. People that like to shift blame like that rarely get anywhere. Okay, and you would know this if you actually had a real job. If you actually had a real job, you would notice that in most companies, typically what happens is people really don't give a shit. The bottom line doesn't give a shit why something didn't work. They want corrective action, and they want to know, one, what's the problem? Two, what are you doing to resolve the problem? And three, what are you going to do to ensure that it doesn't happen again? That's how most corporations work, Phil, okay? And that's what Xbox and Microsoft are currently doing right now. All right? So, again, we don't need 50 minutes of you blabbing about how Phil Spencer's an evil person because, Starfield didn't make you money. That's essentially what Phil's going to do. He's going to basically cast us as, oh, look how they financially hurt me because they didn't create any great games. That's what Phil's going to do. And again, that's not analysis. That's just, that's just shifting blame for your failures. He's going to go on some more. I think I'm done. Anyway, like I said, Doody's going to pump out content today. And then I'll do my podcast tomorrow, 9 o'clock. If you want to check it out, come check it out. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.